Podcasting is a funny thing. You never know how it will turn out. Laughing 1 minute and tearfully reminiscing the next. But if you go to patreon.com/WassessCastProductions, you can help make your own destiny and keep this show going. Bonus content, exclusive episodes, and early access to the show. Don't go marching home without a visit to patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. Enjoy the show. Week by week, we record new content, waiting for certain filmmakers to provide us with a movie. But while they hold out on us, likely fueled by their hatred of this show, we will be doing an Avatar fan cast. Welcome, the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to make enemies of Christopher Nolan. I'm your host, AJ Waseska, and with me today I've joined my co-host Ryan Metters.
Of course.
And of course, we also have some fun guests. Welcome back to Chaz Mockimer and Bo Ketchum.
Hey!
What it is, Bo?
And if you want to follow us on different platforms of choice, we got Patreon, YouTube, Pippa, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and a whole bunch more. If you Google us, you will find us. You can also reach out to us on social media, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. And they want to email us. Ryan, what is the best way to reach us?
They can reach us at Chaz's Anime Opinions Are Wrong.
On God, you want to fight?
I have to clear my throat, my bad. That's evacstation at gmail.com.
If you want more information on that, you should check out our pre-roll episode where we discuss some anime. It's a fun time.
Not my fault. Ryan's wrong. Not my fault. He's salty because he can't form a valid argument.
So today we're
going to talk about something that we can all agree on today,
which is Avatar. We can all agree on Avatar.
The last episode.
So we're covering two different episodes. So last week you heard us talk about one two-parter episode. I guess is the best way to put it. So today we're doing two different episodes, not connected, so there'll be a side A and a side B. So halfway through the episode, you'll be hearing us talk about something else, I guess. For side A, we're covering The Southern Air Temple, originally airing February 25th, 2005. Directed by Lauren McMullen and written by Michael Dante DiMartino and animated by DR Movie. The cast includes some new faces, including Jason Isaacs as Commander Zhao and Sab Shimono as Monk Gyatso.
Oh, Monkiatsu, no.
No awards yet. We'll get to some Emmys here at some point, I believe. But before we get to there, Ryan, you have some fun facts on me, right?
Yep, we've got a couple for you. This is the only episode in the series in which the title screen denoting the chapter and book does not have a plain white background. Instead, the episode featured an animated sunrise. I wonder why. We'll get to that later, but next up, the final fun fact today. According to the Avatar extras, the writers contemplated on an entire episode dedicated to the fact that Momo was the reincarnation of Monk Gyatso, but ultimately decided against it.
Probably good idea. Probably good
That would
idea.
have been such a good episode, though.
No shit.
That would have blew my mind. But it also I feel Momo really works as comedic side relief, like side comedic relief. So making him even like putting that weight on the character of a fun flying lemur might have thrown it off.
To be fair,
I think there would have been a great contrast of where he'd be like these reincarnated new life, but then like at certain moments when Aang is like super desperate for information or questions or something like that, he would have been a great addition to a storyline of a way to like communicate to the elder avatars that have passed. I think that would have been an awesome episode. It would have like added a lot more complexity and probably was like tough from a writing standpoint to fit that storyline in, but damn, that sounds cool. That'd be a good fan fiction to kind of follow up on.
We don't want to do Avatar fan fiction. We don't want to
Especially
go
the
down
slash
that road.
fix.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Too much teenage sex.
Too spicy for me.
You can catch the Avatar fan fiction on the After
After
podcast.
the After Hours credit. Yeah, there's a couple episodes with Kill Bill. Me and Nicole started it. I'll get you on. Don't worry, Chaz.
Oh yes.
After Dark, a place that you don't want to ever go to and you'll never escape. I got a quick synopsis here for you. I'm trying to keep these short per episode, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Aang takes his new friends to his old home, despite being told about a genocide that took place about 100 years ago. His denial catches up with him when he finds a skeleton of his parental figure, Monk Gyatso. His rage builds him back into that super avatar. This also triggers statues around the world, informing the world that Eminem is back and to tell a friend. Aang is comforted by his friends, having made a new family of sorts. Meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh run into Commander Starburns. Starburns now runs his mouth off and pisses off Zuko. So the two have a firebending duel for their right to to hunt the Avatar. To which Zuko wins, but spares his life because he's more honorable. He just doesn't know it yet.
Oh my God, Starburns.
That
was good.
That's quality.
Oh, one of the best lines of that whole show. Well, why don't you spend 4 hours of carving Alex into your face? Oh, man. Next series.
Yep, Community will be the next show we do after this one, probably.
Oh, please.
I'll do every single fucking episode.
I'll do it up until they get to get rid of Den Harmon, and then I'll probably stop.
Gas leak.
Indeed. So, guys, what do you think of the episode?
So I personally it goes dark remarkably fast.
It's a fast episode.
Rewatching this whole thing, it's very interesting, like exactly how fast like they get to like the really heavy shit, because it's like the first 2 episodes are, these kids finally get together and they're gonna go off and traipsing into a brand new journey. They don't know what's gonna be happening, and then boom, genocide. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with the fact that everybody Aang knew is dead, or at least that he thinks is dead. So I think there are a lot of ways to handle it poorly, but I think they really hit the nail on the head with this particular episode, kind of holding off on the confirmation and on the grief until the very end. So it also sets the precedent for Katara being able to calm down Aang when he's got like the fury of the gods on his face.
Sun's getting real low, Aang.
Yep. God. I also really appreciate Aang's character design because there's something about his face that's so neutral. It can perfectly capture like how really happy and childlike he can be, but then as soon as the avatar state kicks in, he just looks like an angry god, and I love it. I completely buy it.
It's so good. That's definitely a bullet point I always wanted to touch up on too.
It is weird, so I don't want to make too many comparisons to Legend of Korra because it's a different show and they're doing different things, but Aang's design definitely lends better credence to this emotional shift with the avatar state. Not that Korra couldn't pull it off, but you can definitely see that Aang is just better designed for that shift so much quicker, so much more efficiently, so much... I don't know, it just works so much better for me on this level.
I agree, but I think because of reasons that we won't go too deep into, just in case we decide to follow up with the Korra podcast, I feel like the reason the avatar state doesn't feel like a huge shift for her is because it really becomes like all her own.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Sense. Like, well, I think because you've got Aang, who's this 12-year-old kid, but then when he hits avatar state, he's got like countless old masters like in his head, like about to hit you with the fury of 1,000 suns. And when Korra goes, it's just Korra's about to fuck you up.
Well, it's more spirit world related for Korra, and they elongate the character development a little bit more in Korra, where in this in every one of these episodes you see so much character depth being put into these characters, like per episode, to where there's a lot of evolution of like some of the emotions that they go through that make it a little bit more of like a a Mandalorian style, like story by story by story. Right. And so can be able to condense that in like that, you get a lot more intensity of character things.
Yeah.
But overall, what do you guys think?
Chaz?
I think so in terms. What? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Aaron.
Oh
Sorry.
no, go ahead. It's gonna happen with all four of us here.
That's fair. So I really like this episode. Kind of going back to what Ryan said. We kind of touched on it last week with the first couple episodes. This show got real dark real fast, and it went from 0 to 100 very quickly, and then it very much backed off, which I think when I first watched the show was a little bit. It threw me for a loop. Not to jump ahead too many episodes or anything, but we get this really dark episode where it hints a lot at the troubles Zuko had with his old man. You kind of get one of the best fights, in my opinion, in the whole series. Between Zhao and Zuko, he's just the not necessarily because of the choreography or because of the fight itself, but what it represents and what it means.
Right.
Especially once you get more into Zuko's character and you're like, holy buckets of fun, this poor dude.
And the fact that it's only episode 3 too, and they're hitting it so hard.
Yeah, and then then all of a sudden, like Ryan said, we get to the genocide, and you're like, hot, and then it's like this dude's mentor died surrounded by firebenders that he tried to but like obviously he didn't get burned, so he killed all the firebenders but died. Like it was just it's sad, it's cool, it's awesome, all in one episode, and then the next episode it's just forget about that. None of that matters. Like in that, when I first watched the show, I think that's one of my biggest gripes is that you can almost tell that in the first, I don't know, half of the season, they made a bunch of episodes that went along with the story, but they weren't sure how the show was going to pan out, so they weren't putting all the eggs in a basket yet.
Well,
and
it's
then
22. It's 22 episodes, so it's like you're gonna have some filler. You're gonna have some filler episodes, but the way they set the storyline up, with this kind of like, or Star Trek is another example of how these
True.
shows are, where it's just like, or Twilight Zone even though it's not, it's the same cast, but like you can almost watch each episode and not really seeing the other episode and still enjoy it because it's such a story-based episode. And so I think you almost need that. Like, not every episode can be dark. So like to follow it up with that, more of a comic relief, more of like, this is an opportunity to let you chill because about what's going to happen in the later episodes. So I thought it was a good build-up of like, painting this like balanced picture of a dark and light show. Like,
well, and so when I was putting this together, I came with a very interesting question here. So this episode sneaks in the bits and pieces to Zuko's origin. We don't get all of it, but we get just enough to know that something's not quite right. He's not a straightforward villain like we've been presented in the first 2 episodes. Which makes me wonder, why is this not immediately followed up by the storm, which ties into every plot point of this episode almost flawlessly?
I think goes back to kind of what I was saying, and from like listening to interviews with directors and stuff of this show, and producers and animators and voice cast and all that stuff.
Humble brag.
Well, no, listening to humble brag. What you mean? But like listening to that, they were greenlit for X amount of episodes, and I think I don't remember how many it is, but I think you get those X amount of episodes, and you can very much tell when basically Nickelodeon was just like, all right, so the show's a success. Get however many episodes it takes to figure out till the end. You got it. No worries. We'll renew the contract. We got this. And then you start to get more. They still work in individual story beats, but then they start tying into each other more and more and more until you get, season 3 was just
one big story. Basically.
If you didn't watch the episode before, if you didn't watch the episode before, I mean, you'd have fun with it, but you wouldn't have as much fun with it. So I think very much it was, I don't remember if it was the first 8 or the first 10 episodes, but there was definitely a tonal shift, and You can kind of tell because it just continues to build on itself, and it kind of touches back on some of the previous story beats that, like you said, Aaron, they probably should have capitalized on right away.
I actually disagree with the idea that the storm should have been episode 3 because
no, not episode 3, episode 4.
What?
Oh, this should have been episode 3, but then Storm should have been following right after.
Yeah, so I think for me the storm hits personally, and I know we're talking about a future episode right now, but for me the storm hits more. It hits harder for me because we've spent time with the characters at this point. It's like it hasn't been full story important episodes, just boom, 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 right after another. I mean, you have the first 3 episodes that come together, and while the first 2 are a two-parter, absolutely, and this one giving you some more story development, I think giving those filler episodes in between that, it builds the world. It allows you to have a little more levity in the show because it is a kid show, and we can't just hit the kids with tragedy after tragedy after tragedy.
Well, of course,
but it also really informs the characters in a 3-dimensional way. You can't just get all of their sad bits at once. You then get a couple episodes where you realize Aang is still a 12-year-old boy, and when a bunch of girls like him, he starts blushing. Or Sokka is a fucking teenager who doesn't really know how to deal with girls as of yet, and he's still figuring that shit out. So the filler episodes, I think, they give a good amount of development to the characters in a roundabout way, and then you hit them with the storm.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, so since the first 2 episodes are 1 and 2-parter, this is the second episode, even though it's the 3rd episode. It's really the second episode in the story. And, with every great TV show that we see out there, not a lot of it makes sense at first, but, I just had binge watched. So I started watching this again. My daughter started watching it, so she's been blasting through it as I've been working and all that. So I've been catching episodes here and there, and not that we don't already talk about the show enough. Even on the Messenger, we talked, briefly talked about how 3rd episode, how it picks up is amazing. So now I just watched the end of the 3rd episode, or the 3rd season. I'm sorry, and so now reshifting gears and going into the 1st season where everything is so new and whatnot. They lay a lot of groundwork right away, so you get that brief story. I agree with Ryan completely with you want to know, and not to get real, but me with my own dad issues, I saw so much depth of character within that, that attachment, constantly wanting approval and just someone to love me. Just kidding, guys. But this, but just this you're already seeing his struggle, and as you watch just a few later episodes, getting busted by the Fire Lord and stuff, this dude's amazing. The reason why he can't beat Aang in just the 2nd episode but can beat this Fire Lord is that emotional value is so much different. He's trying to win Aang so he can get his dad's approval. When he fought the Fire Lord, he wanted to prove to himself how great of a warrior he is, and that was based on a lot of the pain that he's feeling. So and plus the kid's a teenager and he goes up against this motherfucker. Oh, and what about the shot when Uncle Ira is on the left, right, and then it pans to the right as he says, as he's talking, the camera's panning, and he's remember the last time you fought Fire Lord? So now you got this little Easter egg of how he got the burnt on his face, and then later to find out that Fire Lord that burns his face is actually his own dad.
Yeah,
the best scene in this
the
episode.
Yeah.
Well, no, I agree.
Is right after the Anagni Kai, when the guy tries to fight him after he loses and tries to hit him again, and Iroh just steps up and grabs him and is like, bruh.
That was so good.
just
man.
tosses this boy like a lump of potatoes. Just throws him across the court.
One of the best end of the speeches too. He's like, "Nah, this kid's been banished, and he still has more fucking class than you." Like,
Yes.
and then he turns around, and stops him. He goes, "Don't tarnish your victory." Like, damn, you're right. Like how fucking cool is that? And then we're talking about the third episode, and then the soundtrack, and like you can say this for every episode because the soundtrack's so good. But like it creates so much great emotion. Like when it's serious fighting, the music's very crisp and it's very clean. But then when like Aang's acting like a goofball and like they use the bashful face, they do something embarrassing. It's very like twangy and kind of like off pitch. Such a great soundtrack of building some amazing emotion.
Yeah.
A lot like a Christopher Nolan movie.
That man is banned from this show, and you know it. I got three questions. To wrap up this episode, we'll move on to the next one. First off, thoughts regarding Zhao in general, and why do you think he pushes to antagonize Zuko so much?
He's a military personality, so like, you know, you push and you're a bully, and this kid essentially is banished, and you know, every captain of their ship or every, you know, whatever their admiral, whatever, they're going to be, you know, confident of what their army is, and so I think it's just all ego. Hence the reason why he was able to beat him in that battle, because it was an emotional battle for him on his side, but just more of an ego-driven, I'm a winner, you know, and he overs.
Oh, he's Charlie Sheen. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
I think from a meta perspective, the introduction of General Zhao here is perfect because he can exist. Like, we've already gotten hints that Zuko isn't going to be like the cut and dry antagonist. He's just evil for evil's sake. So by introducing the character that is just going to be
an asshole,
evil's sake, that's just going to be a dickhead about everything. You allow Zuko to develop a little more personality outside of that, because you're like, it's obvious once you meet Zhao that Zuko is not that. So it kind of foreshadows the depth of Zuko's character without having to give too much away. So it's more breadcrumbs, I think.
And it does give Iroh that one moment to kind of intervene and really showcase what kind of father figure he is for Zuko at the same time too, which
and
how strong he is.
Indeed.
That's the thing, yeah. It also shows, it's an Easter egg of how like great of, because there's other little hints of like people call him the old great general, and
Dragon of the West.
So I'm gonna get that in Old English on the back of my head as a tattoo. But like it goes to show you that like this dude has a reputation for, and it gives you just like a little bit of a whisper of like how badass of a fighter that he is.
He's like the Liam Neeson of this universe, you know?
Ooh, I like that. That's a good comparison.
Yeah. Oh my God, General. Iroh is actually Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Great.
Can we get a remake of the live action Avatar with Liam Neeson as Iroh?
Can we fucking ball out?
Yeah. Dude, that'd be. I'm gonna call somebody.
Can we get like an actual good live action adaptation?
They're working on it right now, so hopefully.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Like
the original creators are doing it.
Oh,
well, maybe then. It's not M Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Oh, I got words for him. He'll be mentioned in episode. Oh, he'll be mentioned in the next one, so don't you worry. Episode 6. We'll get to it.
Nice.
We'll get to it. Last two questions. Should Zuko have killed Zhao? Why or why not?
Yes.
No.
No, I think it extends the depth of character and the fact he's a teenager.
You just want Zhao out of our misery, don't
I
you?
thought of that, like, I think
you're right. He shouldn't have as his character, but like if it was me, bruh, it would have been lights out. I'd been like, bruh, you stepped up I'm gonna put you down.
Right.
If not, I would have permanently maimed him. Like I would have branded him or something.
Right.
You know, like
Ooh,
I don't know if
Batman.
I would have killed him, but I'd have made him live with the defeat. You know.
Yeah, live with the same scar as he does, so it's a constant.
Yeah.
Not the
reminder.
same, because that'd be a little too repetitive. I'd give him something cooler. I'd give something like grosser though.
Like
Like
burn his nipples off. Or
Burn his
something.
dick off. Yeah, do that.
Burn his
Or burn a picture of Zuko's dick on him. On him.
like on his cheek, so it looks like it's
Yeah.
going to his mouth.
Yeah.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on
Honor
your
on-
cow. Mm-mm.
Exactly.
So with this episode, we were introduced briefly to a line of previous avatars before Aang. We are going to meet more as the series goes on, and we will discuss them individually as they come up, so we're not going to dive too deep right now. But of the avatars we are aware of, at least, which ones would you like to see more information on? Either a book, a comic, an anime, what have you.
I have a
Launch.
question. I'm curious if any of you guys know, and you just reminded me, Aaron.
Yeah.
So how come when he went to the Avatar state at the Air Temple, it did the glowy eyes thing and let the whole world know he was there, but when he did it at the North or the South Pole to break the ship, it didn't happen then?
It did happen, and that's how Zuko knew
Did
that
it?
he was.
Well,
That's how.
no, so the beam of light spread shot from him when he went to the Avatar state in episode
Yeah.
2. But I think it was the fact that he was in the chamber of the avatars.
Okay,
which
so he was
probably
okay.
triggered every other avatar chamber in all the.
It was a very spiritual
nations,
place,
it's
which
like,
allowed
oh,
him to
shit.
connect, yeah. That'd be my guess.
Because
Okay,
they do
fair
show
enough.
they do show at a certain point. There's a scene where as soon as the door closes, in later episodes, when he talks to the old fire avatar, they see the light being contained and shooting out the seams of the door. So maybe that just kind of shows that you can contain the light if you're in the right room. I guess
Maybe.
an avatar room, proof room.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail, but what was the question again, Aaron? I'm sorry.
So like I said, we'll see more avatars, Roku and Kyoshi and all that later on. But in
got
general, what avatars would you like to see more of information on in a book, comic, anime, what have you?
Roku.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one.
You know,
I don't know.
He's just such a cool dude, and you get a little bit in that, obviously future talk, but you get a little bit of it, in a future episode. But
He's making cake, so he can have a spin-off cake building show.
just something like that, or even I would even Kyoshi a little bit, because dude, she kind of go hard. She don't give two shakes of a lamb's tail.
Oh
they-
yeah,
re-
no,
they actually just
Kyoshi is the ride or die. Kyoshi
Uh,
is the
yeah,
hard
they
one.
actually
That's-
just released a second book about her. I think this past month.
Really?
Yep, she's got 2 books to her name now.
This is one of my. This next episode is one of my favorite episodes where she's introduced, and I love just the whole theme of feminism and just cross-dressing and that type of stuff.
Yes.
So I would like to see a little bit more of her origin story, and to see this kind of wake that she's left with this this ultimate women battle group.
Bo, you'll be in luck. So I'm not here to promote any other material, but the Avatar spin-off book, The Rise of Kyoshi, The Last Airbender, Rise of Kyoshi is a separate book written by F.C. Yee, and I think there's another one. Oh, Shadow of Kyoshi, that's the one that just came out. So both these books dive into her origin story, and there's actually some really deep stuff going on there. Apparently, she was an orphan who was part of a circus or some shit before she discovered her bending powers, and didn't discover them until she was 16. So
Crazy. Oh, interesting.
So there's a lot of story that isn't touched on in this series at all that I would love to see more of. But that's if you're curious about it, I would definitely recommend checking out those books. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
So my pick
Yep.
would be whichever avatar faces off against the face stealer.
Ooh,
That's
I know this
that's
one.
what
I know
would
that
say.
one. I was gonna pick the same one because that is the. So you don't. I don't think we get a name. We might in the episode, but in the second to last episode or something like that, when Aang is going to his past lives, it is the waterbender avatar he sees who's like surfing and shit. That's the one who fights Ko, the face stealer.
Yeah, I want to see that. That's what I want to see.
He's cool. I want to check him out too. But I just like the face stealer in general, so anything with him would be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the face stealer voiced by Nicolas Cage.
Yes!
Anyway,
Yes!
what's the next question?
Yes.
That is actually all for this episode. If y'all are ready, we can head over to side B, unless there's anything else specifically you want to bring up about this episode.
Good episode.
It's a good episode. Yeah.
Good. Yep, and we'll do a review of both of them at the very end. We'll do that. Keep it simple.
Actually,
Gotcha.
one thing I want to bring up is when Aang discovers the when he discovers the Avatar, the old Avatar, his old leader. If you look back at that scene and look at how many bodies are laying down,
Dude, he freaking
seriously. So it got me thinking, like, and this is like kind of a theme I want to have us thinking about throughout the rest of the episodes, based on already 100-year war and how many lives have been lost. What's the body count on the show? Into the second episode, into the third episode, our body count is like tremendous, and we still have like coal battles. There's still a lot of like lives to be lost in this show, and I don't think we really know, because it like they never signify death, but like the way these guys die, there's no coming back from a pile of coal being dumped on you, you know, or like how many the fact that when he goes to the Southern Air Temple and they go to the flashback of how many people were there and how many bison and lemurs were like flying around, like they're taken out. Like, this is absolute genocide from the third episode, and you visually see it. It's just not a story that's being told. Like, you're seeing it in the background in these little like offshots.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that is something to think about.
Well, I mean, you could also bring that same fact up to something like Star Wars, though. I mean, how many people were on the Death Star when that blew up?
True.
Not that they don't deserve it, because a lot of those people are fascist dictators, but still, that's a lot of people you're throwing out into space in an explosion, so...
That's a good point. That's for our other podcast, but...
Yep. Star Wars podcast. Oh, wait, we did that one already. Never mind. So yeah, moving on to side B, we are covering The Kyoshi Warriors, originally aired on March 4th, 2005. Directed by, I'm going to mess this one up, Giancarlo Volpe, and written by Nick Malice. His one and only credit for being a director. Let's see. This one returns the animation duties to JM Animation, and some new cast members join the crew. Jillian Henry as Coco, Jenny Kwan as Suki, and the co-creator Brian Koenitzko is the foaming mouth guy.
The foaming mouth.
Oh my god, you totally stole my thunder. That is one of the funniest like scenes where the dude gets so excited he foams with the mouth and passes out.
Yep.
That's who the... Yeah, oh my god. We were just watching that today, and we just laughed. I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard.
It's just a fun little...
I love that.
It's basically a
side
GIF,
show.
and it's so good. It's great.
Well,
Ryan,
that's what the show was... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Ryan, you want to hit the fun facts real quick?
Sure. Let's see here. Oyaji claims that Avatar Kyoshi has been dead for centuries. For this to be true, she must have been dead at least 200 years. However, Kyoshi has only been dead for 182 years when Team Avatar first visited Kyoshi Island in the late 99 AG. I love how my segment is CinemaSins for this show. Next up, Oyaji's claim that Avatar Kyoshi was born on Kyoshi Island 400 years ago was later contradicted by The Rise of Kyoshi, in which the island is revealed to be her adopted home. It makes sense considering the stuff in the book and like how legends are passed passed on. So that makes
Well,
sense.
well, and the books are also written after the show, so there's going to be some contradictions, I bet.
Right. Last but not least, the fighting style of the Kyoshi warriors is similar to the waterbending tactic of turning their defense into offense. This is also a tactic of ninjutsu, which I really love.
So how if she died 100? How does Aang know her?
Past life, man. That she is him, and vice versa.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. So they can see each other. Oh, yeah, because then he was able to identify. All right, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
That was just my first question I had.
No, you're good. You're good. I think the reincarnation thing is definitely something that throws a lot of new people off at first when they see this, because it's not a concept most shows tackle, and most shows don't do it very well. So
Sure.
this is going to be something that throws a lot of people for a loop when they first see it, I imagine.
That makes sense.
I got a quick synopsis here and a short list of questions, because episodes that are more filler than plot are a little harder to write questions for, but we'll see how we do. Aang is struggling to impress Katara and to navigate to when they land on a small Earth Kingdom island. He wants to ride some giant fish, not a euphemism, but Katara doesn't seem interested. They are ambushed by some literal fangirls, which Sokka takes offense at because sexism. It is revealed that they are on Kyoshi Island, which is the home of the Avatar Kyoshi, one of Aang's past lives. Once Aang reveals this to the people with proof that he's an airbender, the village welcomes him with open arms. News of their visit travels faster than Trump's latest tweet, as Zuko and Iroh get the news almost immediately and set course to attack the Avatar. Aang is getting attention, but not from Katara, which puts him in a weird funk. Sokka is upset to losing the girls, tries to regain his masculinity, only to have it be torn away in the most hilarious of ways. Humbled, he puts on a warrior's dress and makeup to learn the ways of the Kyoshi. He and Suki share a kiss as the village is under attack. The gang gets away, but the village is left aflame from Zuko's attack. They use the giant fish monster to douse the fire and finally escape.
The Unagi.
Now I'm just getting
Well,
Friends.
that's a hot take.
I'm just getting Friends flashback now when he kept shouting Unagi as he attacked their people in the show. It was weird.
Bo, I have an answer for you, so not to interrupt you, but according to Reddit, there are 57 total on-screen deaths in this show. That's where like you see them either get hit in the head and not get
Right.
up, not like when Aang capsizes the ship, because somebody died and all that garbage, like
Yeah.
But in terms of like actual on-screen is 57.
That's a lot for an afternoon kid show, man.
Well, especially when you consider that a lot of the shows back in the day, like X-Men and Turtles, they were like fighting robots or like faceless like shadow ninjas, so like they don't count.
These are like actually like it reminds me of that Rick and Morty episode where he kills like the bug and like I have a wife and kids. Don't trust me, they don't feel no pain.
He's a bureaucrat.
So like imagine all like how many lives. 50. Think of this. 6 separations of like life and like how many people. All those 57, the families and the uncles and the aunts, like that affects a lot of people.
Dude, this is it's a kids show, man. You don't need to bring me down like this.
I also have the Zach Morris theory that I want to bring up later, but that's just a little bit of a teaser for later on in the episode.
You need to derail us again. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Taking Bo's place as the guy who derails the conversation.
Those kind of discussions are worth having, I think. Especially because, like you said, the show is a kid's show, and it's interesting to see how many people actually, quote unquote, die in this series.
Dude, Zuko slices 2 dudes' throats off camera, but he slices their throat.
Dude, Sokka makes the guy blow himself up.
That's right.
It's true.
Well, like, there's so many like math deaths too, where like things crumble on top of like crews of the henchmen, so to speak. So you're seeing like 10 to 12 guys die at a time.
So I do have some questions for this episode, and I assume we'll get derailed very quickly, so I'll try to keep it brief. So Ryan and I had a discussion when designing or when trying to schedule these episodes, and the question of this episode being filler came up because it kind of is, and it kind of isn't. So I'm kind of curious where you guys fall on this one. Is this episode filler? And why or why not?
No.
Okay.
Ooh,
I say
okay.
it's not filler because we're seeing this is the first season, so any good show, I always give it the first 8 episodes or even the first 6 episodes sometimes to let the characters take off. So one, I love the theme of feminism and the fact that girls can be fighters too, and see the progression of character. So you're seeing how emotionally these characters will develop with every episode. So even Aang's little storyline with his battle with the snake or the what's it called, Ryan? Yeah, I love that. So with his battle there, and then him coming to his own inner peace and being able to use that opportunity to humble himself to figure out a way to master this beast in order to put out the fire that he started. And then you also see this guilt develop over himself because he feels this responsibility that he did it, so you see him take charge and all this. But then you also go to the beginning of the episode, which I found hilarious, of the fact of when the guy's painting him and that one girl, and then he looks up and there's 2 girls and then 4 girls and a whole group of girls.
That was
and
a big gag.
The painter, his little comments are funny. Oh, 1 more. Oh, 2 more. What's going on here? I thought that was funny, and I think that episode's not filler because it's good. It's letting you know what you're about to see with these later episodes of how deep we're gonna get emotionally with these characters.
Okay, that's a good take.
And it also sets up a good callback because spoilers. Obviously, I think people are watching this, but it sets up that later character storyline with the love interest of Zuki and that girl, which with her now here's the question: is she hotter with her makeup off, or is he hotter with the makeup on?
Off.
He looked pretty good with the Kyoshi makeup, but I still love the Inuit battle makeup that we saw.
He does put good makeup on.
Are we talking about
episode
Sokka or Suki?
Sokka.
Both.
He does. He looks good with
So
that.
Sokka makeup off, Zuki makeup on.
Dude, Sokka with the war paint, like Ryan said, absolutely. That's my man's right there. And then Suki, no makeup, just being living her best life. Dude, she's too young. They need to change the age of that show to 18, so I don't feel so bad.
Wow.
That's a soundbite for the teaser of the episode.
Chaz, what do you think about the episode being filler or not?
I think I kind of addressed my opinion about this episode in the previous episode, or the previous half, side A, if you will.
Right.
I think that this is a filler episode only not because if it was in different context, I think it'd be a great episode. It still is a great episode, but I don't think I would view it as a filler. The issue that I had with it is that you went from a serious episode with genocide and very dark tones to just let's go ride some koi fish, yahoo! And
there's still some dark tones with with
the village being attacked because Aang spent too long there.
Yeah, he he destroyed a whole town. I get what you're saying though. It's more comedic. It's not.
Yeah,
so
there's
comedic,
a lot
but
more comedic, and it's very self-contained, which in my opinion is what tells you it's a filler. But like Aaron said, and Ryan and Bo, this does lead into some further story down the line with Suki and with the Kyoshi warriors and all that stuff, kind of down the line. But I think, in my opinion, it is a filler episode, if only, but not in the same sense, kind of like we talked in the pre-roll, not the same sense as Dragon Ball Z, fillers. So when you say a filler episode, yes, but it's not Goku and Piccolo learning how to drive.
Right.
Nice.
And
right.
it
it's not.
And that's the thing about Last Airbender, is I think that when they do dive into filler episodes, minus like an episode or two that we'll get to later, they tend to be more informative about the world and the characters enough where it's like, okay, so you don't need to see it, but it's still worth seeing for all the other reasons there. So
Yeah.
And that's what good filler is supposed to do. Like that was ultimately my argument when I talked about it with Aaron earlier, is that it's a good episode in the sense that it adds to the world and it allows the characters to develop without like the strain of like all the really important and heavy shit that they just dealt with in the last episode. But in terms of like the main plot of this season, the main plot is the gang needs to get to the North Pole so they can learn waterbending. Everything that affects that, or like either hinders it or pushes it along or references that, I would consider to be like the main thrust of the story. And everything else is kind of it's an ancillary episode. It definitely adds to the world in general, but it's a filler. So I think it's a great filler, but yeah.
I don't know if you can call that a filler though, because it you know, like if they went straight to the North Temple, then we're already there. They have 22 episodes to stretch out, so I don't think it's filler per se, but more just a part of the storytelling, like exposing more of the world. Like all these characters in this episode make a callback down the road. So,
absolutely, I agree with you there. But there are episodes that don't like there are episodes in between the season that I don't consider filler, that are actual like essential for the plot. Agreed. But it doesn't just mean and now they're at the North Pole. Like important things happen along the journey, but they're not like this is an episode where if you missed it, you wouldn't miss a whole bunch. It's still worth
just
watching.
Missed the introduction of Suki. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, and I think that's why I disagree. Like let's look at the rules of a filler. If a character comes back later on into the storyline to add and enhance to it, not a filler. If you have a character that shows up, you know, like not necessarily, we're not going to really see bottle episodes because, you know, budget wise they can animate a little bit different than, you know, live action. But like if we see like bottle episodes for animation, I think that's where we'll get more in the filler. But I think there's just too much significant value of how the story projects down the line and how the show finishes to consider it a filler.
If we're going by that definition, then literally every episode with the
there's no filler episodes.
Not necessarily.
Is a main episode.
There's some that come up. There's like there's like
I know one. I know one for sure.
Yeah, I got a couple just off the top of my head. Or even like there's two characters that come back later that really don't add any significant value to that episode either. So therefore, I consider that episode more of a filler than this one. I think this just has way too much significant value. You have a love story that's being created. You have 22 episodes to like stretch a whole characters and interactions of different characters like differently. Because if you look at the three leads, you know, the Aang group, all three of these go through a huge character development. All of them have very great standalone episodes also. And if it's not for these quote unquote filler episodes now, none of these would make sense down the road.
This question generated much more conversation than I thought it was going to. All right. Next question I got here for you, real quick. So I'm jumping a little ahead here, but I've always found this to be fun. So you are Sokka. You are a young, horny teenage boy. Do you go for Suki or do you go for Princess Yue?
Oh,
neither.
man.
You hold off until you meet the greatest earthbender in the world. That's who you wait for.
No,
That's
man.
my hill, and I'll die on it. God damn
The princess. I was gonna wait for this question when she was introduced, but like, dude, the princess is she's the hottest. She's the hottest, hands down.
What?
But she'd be the best in bed, man. She'd be fucking crazy. She'd be like having sex with a redhead, bro.
Isn't Suki a redhead though?
Yes, that's what I'm breaking it down, dog. You, bruh.
Is she a redhead?
Yes.
I'm just gonna put it out there. It's Suki all the way. I have my reasons. They're 100%. Not forget, not. I love Toph, but nah, not it, Chief. Not Princess Moon or whatever, not Moon over there, okay?
Wow.
No.
I know you didn't call her Moon. Oh my god.
No, dude. It's all about my girl.
My
100%
girl.
Val.
My girl.
Exactly.
That's like saying Katara with her hair down or her hair up.
Oh, hair down.
Hair down.
You guys answered that really quickly.
So to jump on this here, so I agree with Ryan, but she's not a choice in this question, so I can't go that route. I would probably go Suki. I've always found her character to be more fascinating to myself. Yue is great for the story she's in, but Suki just does so much more as the story goes on. She's really good.
Yeah. Not like that, Bo. God damn. I
was
meant
gonna say
as a character, dog. As a character, she's not developed enough.
I'm so you could tell we know each other so well.
I heard him.
Ryan wants some bigger titties.
This is the best episode yet. Well, do you know Mark Hamill was the voice of Firelord Ozai?
You're getting way ahead. You're getting way ahead of us there, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
That won't be till like episode 13 or something.
I'm looking at the images of the girls trying to jump. I'm just gonna turn that off.
So what's your next question there?
Okay. So what are your thoughts on regarding Aint's diversions and his continuous aims to impress Katara?
Well, bruh, we've all been young boys who just, hit that time where you're like, yo, it's ready for a little bit of a, what I'm saying, time. And, you just get that, you try to impress a girl, and especially, I'm the youngest one in this group,
Yeah. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
I mean, thank you. I very much remember being, it hasn't been too long ago that I was, 14. I very much remember trying to interact with girls, and trying, not necessarily, just trying to, not flirt, but, trying to get them to notice me and trying to
run game. You're just trying to run game, throw a little whoop-de-woo out that way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
and I just remember, being at that age, and I'm just like, this is going great. And then I think about some of the stuff I did, some of the stuff I said, and I'm just like, you are a walking catastrophe. What happened? How did I get married? How did that happen? Because even looking back, you can really look back at any interaction you've had with women in the past. I mean, I don't know. I know, Bo, you're married. Aaron, you're married. Ryan, I don't know where you sit with what you do in the relationship circles, but any sort of flirting or anything like that, it doesn't always pan out the way you want it to.
Oh yeah.
And that was something that took a lot of time for me personally to learn, is it doesn't necessarily matter what you do to a certain extent, just that you do something. A lot of women just appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to try.
Make a girl laugh. I learned early on in my flirting career, girl I did something dumb, and she just looked at me and she's like, your unsmoothness is your smoothness. And it didn't make sense then, but later on, after realizing I was a big bumbly nerd and goofy and just a goofball, and then I tried when I was about 19 trying to be that asshole, and that never worked out for me. That I reflected on that my unsmoothness is my smoothness, so I capitalized on that. But Aaron can attest to work with me at Hy-Vee. I'm not much of a flirty guy, so I really don't know a lot.
I mean, for my own history, flirting has been a weird thing for me because I tend to misinterpret it in one way or another. Either I read too much into it or I don't read enough into it.
Right, I tend to like, so do you want to touch my dick now or not?
Nice. Hey,
when-
so
when
you
does
trying
it
to
come
slap
out?
on this knob like corn on the cob, or like nah?
I know my ABCs always be closing, so if things are going well, just straight up say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, but
There
also
you go.
I also know KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
See,
And,
I'm in
but-
the same boat as Aaron, dude. Like, a girl would be either a woman would be flirting with me, or I would air quotes be flirting with a woman, and I had no idea. But the second I put like any effort into either one of those options,
It
just went.
crumbles in your hand.
Yep, it was like trying to pick up sand. Just like it's just sliding
Right.
through my hand.
It's a different
What,
show.
did, what did I do wrong?
It's a different show, but a good example of this is The Office. And I know you don't like the show, Chaz, but there's an episode where Jim and Pam try to set Michael up with a date, and he doesn't realize it at first. And the minute he realizes this, he turns on his game, and things just go all to hell so fast.
So terrible. Yes, I've seen that episode. Yeah, he comes in as like casino Mike or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, to all the listeners at home, you can catch more of these hot takes on the After Hours, After Credits podcast. We talk more about love and relationship and flirting behaviors.
Dude, really? Are people taking advice from you? Because hot cheese and crackers, dude, that's not a good idea.
We haven't started it yet, but it's still
He's
still
building
in
the
the
listener base now.
yeah, it's in the like
He's building up the hype.
the writer's docket for yeah. As this production branches off, that will be the first spin-off of the After Credits, where we get hot and heavy, baby.
Oh yeah, okay, I can get behind that. I got lots of stories about.
I think
Yeah.
you can be my co-host, and then we'll just bring people on and
Yes, queen.
talk dirty about dirty movies.
Wow.
Or something.
yes.
So.
Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Yep.
What do we say about getting off the rails, boys?
Luckily I kept this episode short. I guess that leaves us with the last question. Last thing here. Does anyone have any other questions they want to bring up before we start reviewing the episodes?
Oh, like thousands.
My
Not
question
really.
is, why didn't he like use the Unagi to beat up the Fire Nation? Like,
Oh, good point.
Well,
Like
so
destroy their ships and shit.
his aim was that if he left, then the Fire Nation would leave the village, so that way the battle
guess.
didn't actually fuck up the village. So he's like, let's get out of here so they're out of harm's way. But he
Okay.
didn't want to leave their village on fire, so he's like, let me stop that and then let's go.
He also
And
probably
what's
didn't want
up
to
with
flood
the
it either.
dude? What's up with the dude? The town elder being like, "Thank you, Avatar." Like, what are you thanking him for, dude? He led the Fire Nation to your place, and they messed it up. Like, what are you thanking him for? I don't know.
But he did clean it up, though. He at least made good on it.
Try.
It wasn't it wasn't intentional, and then he tried to correct his mistake, not only by leaving, but also by putting out the fires that he started.
Yes.
He's like see the biggest thing that I get from this episode, despite all of the all of the relationship stuff aside, which is like all fun to reminisce, but this episode is should have like the subtitle "Aang is 12 years old," because that's like the biggest thing that we get from his character in this one, which is
fair.
important.
That's fair.
It's important to have this episode, particularly after the Southern Air Temple, because he's dealing with the loss of his people, and they're like, okay, let's have a fun episode where he gets to have some fun, but also subtly it's reminding you this kid's 12, and literally like people's lives hinge on what he decides to do. So not only like he thought there was nothing wrong with sticking around and like having girls kind of chase him and trying to mac on Katara some more, but then like it ends with saying like every decision you make has the potential to put other people in harm's way. So it's just more shit that we have to put on this 12-year-old child.
And that's my argument for this being a filler. Like this is storytelling. Like they're building that picture of like this kid has a lot on his plate, and look at the lessons he learns. He goes from being this 12-year-old pubescent boy appreciating the tension, but the ultimate lesson is you have to stay humble. You are the avatar. Like, you really can't take a day off. Like, what you need to master in years, you got to do by the end of the summer, essentially.
They don't tell him that just yet, but
just yet, right? But you know,
I feel you.
We have so many spoilers already, but like, you know, that's what I mean about the character development. I think is so important in these stories. That yes, there are filler episodes. There's not a good example of that, but like, it's those character arcs, those character stories that, you know, you watch him grow into a man essentially in one aspect of life, and that's just you have a bigger goal at hand, not to get distracted, stay focused, you know.
Yeah, like I understand where you're coming from. I think there are probably three categories of episodes in these shows, which are like the plot episodes, the filler episodes that really are just there to fill time, and these ones that are kind of in between, because while it doesn't affect the main plot, like the immediate plot, it does have a lot of really, really important character development. And I think I disagree with you with the fact that just being able to recycle a character that you used for one episode 2 seasons ago doesn't necessarily make it an important episode. But okay. I digress. I mean, like Suki is a special case because she does become a very important character. But when you see Haru again in season 3, does that mean that the prison episode was a plot episode?
Absolutely.
When you see the guys, like I mean, I don't know.
Fair point. I see. We'll bring this debate up often, I'm sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's not like we're never going to talk about these characters again.
Ever again. After this episode, the Kyoshi Wars are dead. They're no more. They don't exist.
Nice.
All right.
Until they do again.
Well, good night, boys.
So we gotta rate these, right?
Yep. So we have the platinum to bronze scale ranking these episodes. Where do you guys want to put these episodes at?
Oh crap!
I know you forgot, didn't you?
I'll go first because I've given a lot of thought to this because I literally watched both of these episodes last night before bed.
Okay.
So I was giving a lot of thought to it while I was watching it. And for episode 3, so the Southern Air Temple, I'm gonna give that a gold, because I very much enjoyed it, and I thought it progressed the story and gave me a lot of information that I really liked. And it gave me that really cool fight between Zhao and Zuko, and I really liked that. I mean, just the whole episode, in terms of the character development and storytelling, I would put that at gold. For the Kyoshi Warriors, I would probably say I'm gonna give that one a bronze. It didn't really do a whole lot for me in terms of storytelling or storytelling or even character development. Really anything, again, besides Suki, you don't really have any need for the episode, in my personal opinion.
Okay. Bill, let's give some opinions. What do you want to rank these at?
Oh man, this is like the toughest question of the day. So because we have such a wide range of episodes, and we got a lot of progression to go ahead, I'm gonna be a little bit more less generous with my platinum ratings. I tend to get a little easy-handed handing those out. But I'm going to give the Southern Air Temple a bronze.
Ooh.
And a very strong bronze, just in the sense of, like, they dealt with a lot, but compared to how much more they're going to be dealing with, I think it's just a great setup. I'll give a gold to the next episode, just because, like, I love this episode for, one, the message it has. So at the end of the day, this is a kid's show. So what's a kid going to take away that he can learn from a girl? And I think, especially in this day and age,
that's fair.
That's a very important lesson. And I love some of these, like, quote unquote filler episodes. There's a really strong, like, message. Like you have the plot episodes, but these filler episodes will be lent more towards the the afternoon teenage crowd. So I think that those ones will be like very heavy-handed in like what kind of message can you take away, and that these girls can fight too. And so I think that's where it holds strong with me, and that's why I really like this. I like the setup of an avatar that we get to see. I like the chick fighting group. I think that's super dope, and just watching the characters kind of develop through that. So I'm give it a good bronze. I mean, good gold.
Did not expect
Not
that.
a platinum, so be surprised by that.
Did not expect that inverse. That was interesting. Ryan, what do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of bronzes to be handed out, so. A lot of platinums to be handed out, but we'll save those for later.
Good lord. Okay, so for me, the third episode 3, I'm going to give a silver. Because while it does tackle some very important story beats, and while it is done very well, Bo just made a very good point with the fact that in this season there are better episodes, so I'm trying to gauge that a little bit. As far as episode 4, I, for a similar reason, will give that a strong bronze. Because while it's a very strong episode for Sokka's development and for Aang's development, and introducing Suki, whom they later use as a love interest, overall it feels like last episode was really heavy, so let's have fun. There's some deeper storytelling that is being done.
It's the Ant-Man episode.
Like, it's more subtle behind the scenes if you're really paying attention, but it's the breather. It's a breather before we start tackling some heavier shit.
See, I'd agree with you to an extent, but I know what the next 2 episodes are. We have a good chunk of breather for a while.
Yeah.
So, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that that's kind of where I'm sitting. For me, I would say that Southern Air Temple is a gold for me. I'm going to set a Chaz on that one. I do like a lot of the lore it dives into. I like a lot of the backstory, the seed is planting. I know there are better episodes, and they will be ranked higher, but this is definitely one of the good ones for sure. And then as far as the Kyoshi Warriors go, the Warriors of Kyoshi, I'm going to put that as a silver. I think it's a bit better than bronze. I think it actually... I like what the Kyoshi Warriors in their introduction, and I'm looking forward to more of that stuff. Again, setting up breadcrumbs for what I'd say is definitely a side plot or backstory for Avatar Kyoshi's various stuff. But I like what it's setting up for, and I'm looking forward to seeing what more comes of that. It's definitely not the strongest episode, but it's still good. Still very good. So that's all for these 2 episodes. Tune in next week, or whenever we decide to schedule these out, for episodes 5 and 6. And if you haven't seen it yet, episodes 1 and 2 are already available for you wherever you are listening to them. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
But not at the movies.
Bye.